Hi, my name is Francesca Del Posso, and today I'm going to be talking about Lloyd Bitzer's rhetorical situation and how it applies to the viral Imagine video of celebrities singing a cover of the song Imagine by John Lennon during the COVID-19 pandemic. So before we begin, I'm going to explain Bitzer's rhetorical situation so that we can analyze it in comparison to the video. So Bitzer's rhetorical situation is made up of three basic elements: the exigence, the audience, and then the constraints. So the exigence is something that makes a person want to act. It's a situation that demands an action from the people. The audience is, of course, the people that the speaker or writer is addressing, that he wants to, to appeal to. And then the constraints are the limits that the author or speaker has. So anything that limits their capacity to write or speak, or their capacity to reach their audience. The exigence itself can also be referred to this idea that every time that someone speaks, they are giving an answer to something. So in this regards, it's interesting to think about everyday dialogue in question and answer format. We don't often think of it that way, but Bitzer suggests that we do, because there's something that's actually at stake for the audience, whether that's the answer itself or what the audience is expecting. In class, the exigence was described as imperfection marked by urgency, which is a really interesting way to think about it, because it implies that it is a set of situational elements that creates a need for the audience to think a certain way. The audience, on the other hand, plays a specific role in the situation, and they're marked by the exigence. The constraints, again, are like the beliefs, attitudes, or biases that make it difficult for the speaker to execute their intention. So this can be previous beliefs by the audience, this can be a lack of credibility, this can be a series of things, but again, they're constraints, they're limits to the speaker. So it can be said that if there is no exigence, there is no argument, because there's no question that needs to be answered. And if there's no question that needs to be answered, there's no audience needed to be there. So all of this makes it so that rhetoric is not just a faculty. To Bitzer, it's very important that these three elements actually come together, because if any of them are missing, then the rhetorical situation isn't going to be successful. It's also important to note that Bitzer makes an extension of Aristotle's argument of ethos, pathos, and logos. So according to Bitzer, it's important to ask yourself who the audience is and what their beliefs are and how they actually feel about the speaker. And this is important because it shows what the audience expects of you and how you can persuade them. So rhetoric is not just about saying the right thing. It's about figuring out the character of the situation. And this is shown through Bitzer's work. So now moving on to the Imagine video. This was a video that circulated during the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic in the United States. It was a video that a bunch of celebrities starred in, and it was basically initiated by Gal Gadot, who is very famous, and it basically, if you haven't seen it, is just a compilation of different celebrities singing Imagine. And so like someone comes in and they sing the first part, and then like someone else comes in and they sing the second phrase, and so on and so forth, and at the end you have like this cohesive song. But the video itself is very funny and laughable because first, it doesn't sound very good. They didn't plan it very well in terms of like the singing. People are in different keys and it doesn't like harmonize at all. And then other than that, there's a lot of controversy that happened because of the video. And so I'm going to go into that and explain the controversy through the rhetorical situation lens and through Bitzer. I think it's also important to note that during this pandemic, a lot of celebrities and a lot of people in general have been trying to do like positive actions to get people's hopes up and cheer them up when they're like in isolation. So on one hand, a lot of people are trying to do this, and it is a positive thing to try to bring a little bit of light and humor into people's lives, but there is, again, a time and a place. So this video, the Imagine video, was not that successful because it seemed very clueless. It seemed very cringeworthy, and it seemed totally distant from the reality that a lot of people are facing, which is one of grief, of loss, of death, of sickness, of poverty, of losing their jobs, of losing a family member, of depression and being in self-isolation. And, you know, quarantine is not something that should be romanticized, even if you are having a good time. That's all right and that's okay and good for you, but it shouldn't be something that, you know, people are like super happy about, because obviously a lot of the world is suffering. So this video was like the epitome of hypocrisy in a way, because it showed that these celebrities who really support these like measures of like staying at home and all of that, which is important, of course, and that's what they should be doing, are also trying to make everyone's lives easier by singing a horrible rendition of a song and thinking that like that's going to save the world. Even if that wasn't their intention, that's the way that it comes through. A lot of people also said that instead of recording a 5-second clip of them singing a song and then putting it all together in a compilation, instead of doing that in their beautiful mansions where they probably have private chefs and people cleaning their houses all the time and don't have to worry about what regular people are going through, they could have instead donated money. And yes, a lot of celebrities have done that too. A lot of people in the video have done that, but the video seemed very badly timed because it just basically was a slap in the face to all the people who really are suffering during this time. So the exigence in this video would be these celebrities believing that because of their large platform, they have to speak up and be a positive light in people's lives during this time. So they believe that they were doing this for world peace and to make people's lives better by singing a song instead of actually donating money. So that was their exigence, the idea that they wanted to do something positive for the world, and this is what they came up with, a rendition of John Lennon's Imagine. Of course, the audience is everyone that is suffering due to the coronavirus, or everyone that is in quarantine due to the coronavirus, whether you're suffering or not. This video was intended for everyone that is currently going through the pandemic, which essentially is the whole world. I think that these celebrities were not trying to, make it seem like they were millionaires and just singing Imagine for the world to be better instead of actually donating money, but that's the way it came across. So, again, that was the issue. And then the constraints, of course, there are beliefs, attitudes, and biases that make it difficult for the speaker to execute their intention. They chose a very poorly chosen song, and they chose a very poor way to do it. Like, they didn't communicate their intentions well. Of course, they wanted to create this like world peace kind of rhetoric, but it just turned into I'm a celebrity and I don't have to worry about losing my job or losing a family member, or I mean, maybe they do, but they will have better access to healthcare, and they'll have a much easier time going through any type of medical needs that they may need. So those beliefs although they were probably like for the good, it didn't actually, the wording that they chose and the way that they chose to say it turned out to be very funny and very sad and up for criticism, and they were very highly criticized for it. So yeah, just to wrap up, Bitzer explains the rhetorical situation. He extends Aristotle's original ideas, and he says that a rhetorical situation always has an exigence, an audience, and a constraint. The exigence being something that makes a person want to act, the audience being the people who are somehow affected by that exigence and therefore the speaker wants to reach, and then the constraints being the limits that are placed upon the speaker due to certain beliefs, suppositions, attitudes, or biases that make the speaker unable to execute their full intention. So in this situation, these celebrities that sang Imagine didn't mean any harm. Of course, they just wanted to spread a positive message, but they did so in a very poorly chosen way. They chose to sing a song about world peace, and it was badly sung. Instead of actually donating any money or advertising that they were actually doing something to physically help those people that are suffering during this time because of loss or unemployment. So again, it was just a way to make them seem very distant from the real world and made it very obvious that celebrities are not living the same life that most people are living during this time. They're in their huge mansions with, a lot of attention and wealth, and they have all the medical professionals at their fingertips if they need them. And it's a great example of Bitzer's rhetorical situation because there were constraints, being the celebrities' attitudes, and that didn't let them get their message across, and the audience being everyone affected by the virus, and the exigence being their desire for a positive quarantine and world peace, and for us all to imagine a better place.